Welcome everyone to our virtual employment workshop with Sophos. So far we have Damien and Ade. Am I saying that right?
It's Ade.
Ade, sorry. And Ade, with us. Chris will be joining us shortly. So welcome to the webinar. So here's our agenda for the day. We're going to give a quick intro, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our transition tips, some things that are good to keep in mind as you are transitioning out of the military. We're going to talk a little bit about why Indiana is a good place to live for someone that just came out of the military, and then why work with INvets. What do we do to help you with your transition throughout the process? And then we're going to be talking to our three folks from Sophos. Had a small typo there, apologize about that. So I am Blaine Zimerman, the Director of Veteran Engagement here at INvets. I was active duty for 6 years. I spent time in between the 1st Armored Division and 10th Mountain. 2 deployments, got out as an E5, but stayed in the Indiana National Guard, and last year earned my commission, and I'm still a infantry platoon leader in the Indiana Guard. So transitioning. Everybody on my team has done this. Everyone at INvets is a veteran and has had to go through that transition process. And I know everybody has a different transition story, right? Everything from they got a great job right out of the military to they went to school, or they went out and fell flat on their face and maybe joined back in. Well, there's some tips that we've learned through both personal experiences and through working with other organizations that really can help with that transition. And so that's kind of what I want to touch on a little bit. So number one, and most importantly, be humble. Nobody's going out of their way to hire you just because you're a veteran. I'm sure everybody got to enjoy their free meal at Applebee's yesterday on Veterans Day, and that's great. But now that that one day is over, you got to be humble, and you got to understand that you've got to be able to successfully explain where your skills were improved and why you're a benefit to that company. So like I said, people like the idea of hiring veterans because of certain things that they know, but they only know what they know, right? They don't know exactly how an infantryman translates into a project manager. So you've got to be able to explain how those skills transfer to the employer. Make sure you're networking. Both of my team members love using the phrase, networking is only one letter away from not working. You want to make sure you're using LinkedIn effectively. If you don't know, for 1 year, your first year on LinkedIn Premium is free for veterans. Typically, that's about a $35 charge a month. You're saving quite a bit of money, and that gives you a lot more opportunities within the LinkedIn network to be able to send more messages, create more connections with folks and things like that. Really make sure that you're looking for potential mentors that are out there. Figure out what industry you want to work at. Figure out which specific career path in that industry. And then reach out to people that are already there and figure out what they did to be successful, and figure out how you can get connected in that industry, because you having a network, which we can help you with, but you want to do more on your own, you having a network improves the chances of you getting a job rather than you just going on a website, blindly applying and throwing your resume out there. Make sure that you're considering the employer over the position. So you may be really tied to a specific position, and that's great, but you want to make sure that that employer shares the same values and culture and overall workplace environment that you want to live in. I've seen a lot of people that get out and they go, okay, well, this job pays really, really well, and I've heard good things about this employer, so I'm just going to take this job. And then they go and they hate it. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to make sure that you're really researching these companies. You're in a position that you feel comfortable in the workforce. You really feel like you're not doing a job, but you're in a career and you're in something that you really love doing. The more that you like the position and the employer that you're with, the more likely you're going to stay there for a longer period of time. You got to be flexible. So nobody's ever applied for one job and gotten it and then gotten a gold Rolex 20 years later. That's not how it works. I know that there may be a very specific thing that you want to do when you get out, or maybe a really specific place you want to live. But if you kind of are a little bit more flexible, then you open yourself up to more opportunities. For example, maybe you really want to live and work in Indianapolis. Well, it's possible that the best opportunity for you is in Hamilton County or Boone County or something like that. You're close to Indianapolis. You're not quite in the heart of it, but that may be a better opportunity. Don't narrow your search so far that you're really limiting your options for what you can do post-militarily. Finally, make sure you're seeking help, but ultimately you own your transition. Nobody else does. Nobody's going to hold your hand and just go through the entire process and find the job for you. You've got to be able to be your best advocate. So make sure that you're taking responsibility of that transition and you're owning it, while utilizing every piece of resource that you have at your disposal. So let's talk a little bit about INvets, and let's talk a little bit about the state of Indiana and why it's a great place to live. So our organization started almost 3 years ago in 2018. Like I said before, 100% veteran run. We have an Air Force vet, a couple Army vets, and a Marine vet in the office with all sorts of different backgrounds. We have a guy that used to work in the White House. We have some folks that have MBAs. We have some folks that were recruiters. We're all over the map. We bring a lot of different experiences. What we do is we provide that digital connection point between employers that are looking to bring veteran talent in and the veteran talent themselves. So we're kind of that go-between to be able to explain to employers, this is what these things mean on a resume, or this is exactly what you're getting from this type of veteran, to the veterans themselves, because sometimes it's hard to make those explanations and to explain, what this job means in the military versus what it means in the civilian workforce. We have over 150. That number is actually over 200 employment partners now in our network. And of those 200, over 100 of them have actual roles on our website that they're hiring for. So I know a lot of people have been concerned about the COVID environment and about, maybe there aren't as many jobs available. Well, it's actually the opposite of that. What we found through the statistics, through the state and nationally, is what's happened is a lot of folks that were maybe 2 to 3 years away from retirement saw the COVID thing happen and just decided, hey, I'm going to retire now. So now what we're going to be running into over the next couple of years is there's actually not enough employees to cover all of the great positions that are available. So if you were thinking, I don't know if there's going to be even jobs available, that's not true. And let us help you find where those jobs are so that we can connect you in with some really great positions throughout the state. Like I said, 85,000 open positions, that's statewide. And that's not all within our network, but there are a ton of positions here in Indiana. Our main industry pathways that we have are healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, and technology. And those are probably the big four throughout the whole state as a whole. The technology sector, which we're going to talk about today, has been growing a crazy amount. I want to say in 2019, we gained 85% in technology jobs in the state of Indiana. And especially here locally in Indianapolis, that is just continuing to grow and grow year over year, with Salesforce being downtown and the new spot that's going up out by the airport. There's just find the right place to go for the VA maybe, or maybe you just want to find a community involvement organization like a Team RWB or a Team Rubicon. We can help connect you with those types of resources as well. So this is a screenshot of our homepage. If you go to our website, INvets.org, you can find out a lot about our organization. You can find out about the different benefits of Indiana, which I'll get into here in a minute, how the different regions work, kind of what's in each region. And then you can create a profile. And the benefit of having a profile is, A, you get a free t-shirt, which is always nice. But B, that's when you'll have access to the job board. And if you go in through our job board and you apply to a job through our website, that employer is actually going to get an email from us. And on top of that, a phone call from a member of my team saying, hey, this highly qualified veteran applied for a position. So kind of went through this, create a profile, check out careers, submit your application. We'll advocate for you. The biggest step is opening that door to the interview room, and that's kind of where you branch out on your own, because we're not going to sit in the interview for you. But we'll do everything we can to open that door into the interview room. So the different things that you can do in case you're on the fence or you don't quite know what different industries or career pathways look like is you can look at industry pages like the technology page. You can look at what different positions are within the IT sector or the tech sector as a whole, and then look at what a career path might look like to include like median salaries, what types of skills they're looking for, potentially what types of certificates you're going to get. And then you can look at the different technology companies that are within our network. And we have this for multiple different industries. This is just the example, one example of the technology industry on our website. You can also look at specific employers' profiles on our website. So this is an example of Allison Transmissions. You can see they have a few of their open positions, the different career pathways that they offer at their company, lots of photos. There's a lot of information about like their company culture and things like that. And then employers, a lot of them also have different videos showing you what it's like to work there. It's a pretty involved piece of our site. So I'd really encourage you, especially if you're kind of one of those veterans that you're getting out, you're not really sure what you want to do, and you haven't really yet spent the time to research that, go in there and explore the different industries. You may find that you want to get into an industry you didn't even know existed once you get in and explore and look at what work looks like inside that industry. So a couple benefits I want to hit real quick. For disabled veterans, if you have a disability rating through the VA, college tuition for your children will be free in Indiana, depending on some parameters, of course. If you join the military from Indiana or you've lived here for 5 years post-militarily, that benefit turns on for you. And then also if you have a Purple Heart. So it's a great, if you've got young kids and or you're coming up on those college years, free state school is hard to beat, especially when you hear about, everybody having huge student loans and things like that. Like, it's one thing that you can pass down to your kids without giving up your GI Bill. So last year, we passed House Bill 1010, which is income tax exemption in the state of Indiana for military retirement. So what that means is over the next couple of years until January 1, 2022, the tax rate for the state taxes off your military pension becomes smaller and smaller until January 1, 2022, where that tax rate becomes zero. And you will not pay state taxes on your military retirement. It's something that we were super excited that the state finally was able to pass. It's been something that's kind of hung out in the legislature since like the 70s. And we've been able to finally kind of push that through. We're really excited about it because it shows that our state's really committed to bringing veterans here to the state, especially veteran retirees. And it kind of, to be quite honest, makes us competitive with the states like Texas and Florida and things like that. Couple other benefits that we'll touch on real quick. Once again, if you have a disability rating, depending on that rating, you can get property tax deductions. And those deductions depend on, what your rating is and what the price of your home is and all sorts of things like that. For the outdoors folk out there, we have reduced hunting and fishing licenses for both annual and lifetime licenses. And as my employee Jerry loves to say, the more money you save on your license is more money you can spend at Cabela's on gear. So we break the state down into five regions. Obviously, there's more than 5 communities. The Northwest, which would include what we call here the region. It's the area right outside of Chicago, so Michigan City, Gary, LaPorte, places like that. You've got the Northeast, which has the second largest city in Indiana, Fort Wayne. Then you've got Central, which is obviously here in Indianapolis. The South, if you want a more rural community, Southwest, Southeast is a great place to live. If you want that, kind of rural living, but work in the city, the Central region, Northwest, those are some really great places to look at. One of the things that I really like about Indiana is really no matter where you're at, you're about 30 minutes from a city, you're about 30 minutes from the country, so you can have the best of both worlds and live in one and work in the other, or just have access to one to be able to go out and take the family. So, excuse me, it's a really economically and geographically diverse place. There's even rumors that there are some hills in the southern part of the state. Once you get a little bit further north, it kind of flattens out a little bit. But there's some really great state parks and national forests in the southern half of the state. So you kind of got something for everybody here in the state of Indiana. All right. So that was about a 50,000-foot view of everything INvets does and everything that's great about the state of Indiana. I've kind of talked myself blue in the face. And what I want to do now is I want to bring on one of our great employer partners, Sophos. It's a company, it's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, based out of Canada, but has a really big presence here in Indianapolis. And we have 3 members from Sophos here with me today. I will let you guys introduce yourselves, and then I will drop the slideshow. We'll bring it up, and we'll just have a conversation around, what it's like to work there, what your transition stories were like, how you ended up at Sophos. We'll see where it goes. So why don't we start with Chris, and we'll kind of go if your screen's the same as mine, right to left on introductions, and then we'll get started.
Sure. So as you referenced, I'm Chris Jeffries. I go by CJ. I spent almost 11 years in the Indiana National Guard, split pretty evenly between a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout and then transitioned to communications as a 25 uniform to kind of get that basis into the tech world where we are now. My kind of process, I guess, was what I realized part of the way through my National Guard career was that I realized nobody really was going to pay me to shoot big guns when I exited the military. So I kind of started that transition to kind of lay some of the groundwork for IT, kind of the networking and TCP/IP stacks and all of that, and kind of that's where I got my footing. So I did that, went back to school for cybersecurity. Kind of in tandem with using the National Guard benefits like you were referencing earlier, and went to work for the DoD for a short period of time and then transitioned over to Sophos from there. I've been at Sophos now since middle of January, and it's been an incredible opportunity to take what I've learned within the National Guard and the little bit of DoD experience I had, and then apply it to a company where I feel like I'm actually making a change and affecting actual clients. So that's kind of the top level of my story.
Who wants to go next?
I can do it. So my name is Ade Muhammed. I have a very similar story to Chris Jeffries. I have been in the Army Reserve for just about 11 years. It'll be 12 years in June. I've always been a 25 Quebec, which is a multi-channel transmission system operator. We like to have super long names for things, but basically all that means is I work on line of sight radio and satellite communications, very small network nodes to provide communications for central command and things within a forward operating base. So I've been doing that for 11 years. Basically, I transitioned about a year ago. I've been working as I was working as a network admin for about 2.5 years back in 2016 after I got off of a deployment. I tried to get as many certifications as I could to plus up my knowledge from what I was doing in the military and make it applicable to the civilian sector. And with that little bit of experience and those certifications, managed to get a job with the DoD as a contractor, and decided, that's not what I wanted to do anymore since I'd been doing networking the entire time. and slowly transitioned to cybersecurity, and I did that for about a year and a half, and found my way over to Sophos once they came to Indiana. It's been an amazing time. I have a lot of great teammates that I get to share information with every day, and I'm definitely learning every day. It's been a fun ride. I think that's about the high level for me.
Okay, Damien.
Yeah. So my name is Damien Sullivan. My path to Sophos was nothing like CJ's and Ade's. I don't have a military background. In fact, my original plan was to attend law school. So went to college for that, got a job at a law firm, ended up hating it. Everybody around me was miserable. So decided to do a 180 and get into technology. I'd always had an interest and a passion for it. So one of the things that I want to reiterate, one of the things that Blaine mentioned earlier in his tips and tricks was, research the organization or the company and not just the position. Because I got lucky with my first technology job. It was a company, Interactive Intelligence, which is now Genesis. And I had tried for 2 to 3 years to get in. So for me, it was more about getting into technology and getting into the right company and culture than just the specific position. So that was my path into technology. About 3 years into my tenure at Interactive Intelligence, I decided I wanted to specialize a little bit or focus in a little bit more on something than just general IT, and that was cybersecurity. So I went back to school, got my master's in cybersecurity, and then that took me into that industry. I've been in it about 5 years now, 1.5 with Sophos, and in the previous 3.5 with another company called Rook Security, who was actually acquired by Sophos. But we were based in Indianapolis and doing very much the same things that we're doing today.
Okay, cool. So so how big is the office here in Indianapolis?
Yeah, so our office is actually located in Carmel, Indiana, which is about 15-20 minutes north of Indianapolis. We are actually in a shared co-office location. So right now the space that we have can fit about, I would say, 30 to 40 people. But we are in the process of expanding. We're rapidly growing, and therefore we need to find a bigger office space.
Are you guys all working from home at this point? I mean, it looks like you are.
Yeah. We've been working from home since the very beginning of March. We made a pretty early call, I think. And the interesting thing about our team was, we were always built to work remotely no matter what. We've been working remote well up before COVID occurred. We cover 24/7, 365. So somebody's always got to be on. We always got to have eyes on, and nobody really wants to go into an office at midnight. So those shifts that kind of worked over the night tended to spend their time working remotely. So for us, it wasn't too much of an adjustment. We were able to seamlessly transition and keep the level of customer service at a premium or maximum that we need to.
So with an organization like that is kind of designed to work from home, how would you describe like the culture, the company culture? Like, how do you maintain, a good culture when you aren't interacting in person all the time?
Yeah. So I'll take the first stab at that. Then I'm interested in hearing Ade's and CJ's, because both of these guys are on the night shift. But so for us overall, we try to foster a very team-oriented and collaborative culture. We do a lot of important and at times stressful work, and as such, we need to make sure that we don't end up taking ourselves too seriously at the end of the day, because that's when people start to crack, right? So when we are in the office, we are very, we have an open office. Our security operations center is that's where all the analysts sit. They can talk to each other, bounce ideas off each other all shift long, ask for help, give help. So in that sense, we are, for lack of a better term, we are family oriented as a team.
Any additions, guys?
Yeah, I think I'd echo the statements from Damien, and I think being during COVID time, we've had a lot of help from the various communication applications that we use: Zoom, Slack, Teams, you name it, we're probably on it. We're probably able to do all of this because of those applications, as well as when we're in the office, we have that open space and we're able to talk across the desk and yell out to somebody if something's happening. But we do very much the same thing over a Zoom or Slack or one of those other applications. So the communication never stops. So there's always something going on. We're always talking about something, or organizing what we're going to be doing next. So it's very fluid, I would say, and it's been pretty much a smooth transition since being in the office to working exclusively remote.
Yeah, I have a similar but slightly different experience, because I started kind of so late into the year. Again, it was middle to end of January, so I didn't get to experience our nice SOC for very long before we were pushed to home. But I do agree that given the number of avenues and channels that we have to communicate, I have seen, at least in our team, a very effective communication just with the online presence. Just like you said, Slack and Zoom and Teams and all of that. There are many nights where our entire team will kind of just jump into a Zoom meeting, and even if there's not a lot of constructive talk going on about what we're actually working on, it keeps us in touch with the team. And we've actually had members of our team that in our shift that have joined, since COVID, and we have purely a virtual relationship with them. And it's still, that relationship with those coworkers doesn't feel any different to me than the ones that we experienced starting in the office. So yeah, it's been a very seamless operation from in an office to full remote, and hopefully back if we get there.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add on that. So not just internal to our team, but Sophos as an entire organization has been really supportive since COVID. Sophos prior to COVID had a lot of remote workers. We're global, so we're scattered across the world. Since COVID, Sophos has come out and said, post-COVID, if you feel that you're more comfortable working from home, continue to do so. We'll support that. We'll help you in any way that you need. If you need equipment, they just that kind of speaks to the culture of the organization, right? So they're very employee focused, and they've been great throughout the past 6-7 months.
That's great. How would you guys say that your background in the military has helped with your success at Sophos?
So I'll jump in.
That's for you guys. That's not for me.
But I would say that military culture. It's it basically starts out with everybody's a leader, right? From your smallest rank and enlisted to the highest echelon. Everyone's a leader, right? So I would say I've carried that with me. I try to look to be a force multiplier, inside of our team and try to pass on what knowledge I'm able to gain, because that raises the entire team when I'm able to learn something and pass it on. Same for my teammates. They do the same. And obviously in the military, I did communication. So, being able to take what I learned as a 25 Quebec and, still that knowledge is applicable today. Although, technologies change, military definitely, provided me the stepping stone to reach into, the position that I have today. So yeah, that's a pretty good answer for that, I think.
Yeah. So
just to kind of circle back, the question was kind of how we feel that the military experience has led us or helped us in the position that we're at currently. Is that correct?
Yeah. How has your military experience helped your success here? Yeah.
Sure. So, in the literal or physical effect of kind of like Ade was saying, that the IT, the communication background obviously laid the groundwork and laid the footwork for getting into an IT sector, a technology sector. However, as probably many units find, the responsibilities that you learn for your job aren't necessarily actually what you're doing every day when you're in your unit and when you're functioning as part of your military unit. So I would say for me, the biggest thing that I'm able to just work independently but rely on my team when I need them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what you have to have the technical side. I wouldn't be able to step in and start security stuff. So
I would say Damien's probably a better person to answer this question, but I'm going to take a stab at it too. And I've told I've had some friends. I said I just kind of recently went back to school, and so I've been helping people try to find spots in technology sectors as well. And what I have seen is that it appears that our team really hires on a critical thinking and problem solving basis more so, and I guess personality and team fitment more than certifications in the actual technological skills. So I think the ability to communicate, work within a team, and the critical thinking seems to be the biggest things that they're looking for.
Yeah, I'll echo that. We do analyst work. Those kind of abstract skills, critical thinking, problem solving, those are the things that speak as loud, if not louder, to me around the world, is excellent communication skills. We all day, every day are talking to our customers who are not as technical as we are, or if they are from a technical background, they're not in a security background. So we have to be able to explain to them in a way that they can we can succinctly explain to them that they can understand. This is what's happening. This is what we've done about it. This is what you need to do about it. And then we'll get you back to a good spot.
Very well put. What current, well, let me back up from that. If someone were to apply to roles at Sophos, what's the hiring process look like? What's the length of time somebody can expect that whole process to go through? How many interviews? Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so that really depends on the experience and the kind of level of analyst role that we're looking to interview for, and the candidates that are applying. Somebody that's coming in with 5+ solid years of cybersecurity experience in a security operations center, doing pretty much what we're doing today, that's probably going to be a much longer interview than, say, somebody that's coming out of a college degree program or any other sort of kind of independent program that offers cybersecurity programs. Those people, I mean, we're looking for different sets of skills and experiences, but somebody that's less experienced, I would say that's a shorter interview process than it is for somebody who's got, like I said, 5+. We're looking for a more a higher tiered analyst role.
So essentially, what I'm hearing is with the more skilled that the job is, the longer the interview process is. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. And so, what current open positions do you guys have here for your guys' location? Yeah,
so we have threat analyst openings, and that's essentially what Ade and CJ do. They're threat analysts, and not just here in Carmel or Indiana, but we have openings all around the world, pretty much.
And explain like I'm 5. A threat analyst is.
Well, let's hand that over to the threat analyst. I'd like to hear what their description of the role is.
Me too.
Yeah, go ahead, CJ. You start.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll go for it. So explain it like I'm 5. A threat analyst is somebody that can essentially ingest at times a lot of data and then correlate it to mean something. So, we might have, say, a command that's run that gets flagged. And so we'll take that command and we'll start looking into other instances around it. So, let's say it was a user that ran a suspicious command. We're going to see, has that user run any other suspicious commands in, recent timeframes? Or, is this something that happens once a week, every Monday night at this time? So we're going to take, like I said, a whole bunch of different data points and try to figure out what it means.
Okay.
Yeah. To add to that, we're basically a security service, right? So we provide Overwatch for our clients' environments, through monitoring tools as well as on-prem hardware such as firewalls and other endpoint solutions. So that happens 24 hours a day. We have those. We have the tech to be able to tell us what's happening in a client's environment and be able to hunt on specific indicators that we get from open source intelligence, other threat intelligence teams that look for malicious activity across the internet, across the world, and be able to take that information and look for the same sort of indicators within our client's environment. So that's pretty much 50% of the job, as Damien was saying. The other 50% is being able to communicate this in an effective way to the customer so that they're able to do something about it. And a lot of times, a lot of our customers prefer us to do something about it. So, we're taking that information and we're responding to those threats that we find in their environment. Sometimes before, other solutions would be able to even pick up on the behavior. So that's the 10,000-foot view of that, I guess.
Yeah. So our mission, essentially, our mission is to identify, respond to, and disrupt cyber attacks. I mean, that's as simple as we can put it.
Are there any specific industries that you guys kind of specialize in for your client base, or is it all over the map?
All verticals.
Okay.
All of them.
Wow. It's not 100% foreign to me, but I definitely wouldn't be able to do your job. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't understand how. So, but no, I think that with like you guys said, and especially in the 25 series in the Army, and I don't know off the top of my head, what the nomenclature is for the other branches, but I know that this is a very applicable thing that many people do through all the branches in the military that can be translated directly into this. With the biggest difference being you can grow out a beard now and clothes every day. So I want to kind of talk about the area. So you said the offices in Carmel, and I used to work in Carmel myself. Like you said, it's about 15 minutes north of Indianapolis. I'm assuming you guys all live somewhere close to there. Fair-ish?
Yeah.
So what, for somebody that's coming from, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, never been to Indiana, knows, we have corn and basketball. What's a thing that they would want to do in Carmel, either entertainment-wise or food-wise? Like, what's your favorite part of that part of town?
Yeah,
I'm going to back up for 1 second. Actually, I'm going to interrupt. Apparently, you forgot racing. I mean, if you're going to say Indiana, you can say corn or whatever, but you have to say racing. We're the racing capital. But anyway, go ahead, Damien.
Yeah. So I was just going to mention the area that our office is located is really a very up and coming area. There's a lot of development effort going into it. So as such, there's all kinds of restaurants within walking distance. There's actually a world-renowned amphitheater. I forget what it's called, Center for the Performing Arts or something like that. But that place is not just bringing in local acts; it's bringing national and international acts. So you've got entertainment, you've got food. There's different breweries and bars that are all around. So it's not like we're just plopped in the middle of a field and there's one way in and one way out. No, we there's plenty to do around that area.
What would you guys say? Well, so I'll add a couple things. There's also real weird statues all along Main Street.
Yeah.
It is. Last year, Carmel was actually named the best place to raise a family in the United States. I only know that our executive director lives in Carmel, and he loves reminding everyone that. It's a really cool area, and that Main Street, it's actually called Main Street. They really built it up over the past couple of years. There's some famous restaurants there. There's Bub's Burgers that I think Guy Fieri's been to, or maybe it's the guy that eats a bunch, Adam Richmond.
Maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been on.
Yeah, it's one of the other. I think maybe Man versus Food, whatever that one was.
Yeah. What would you guys say is your favorite restaurant in Carmel?
Oh man.
That's actually kind of a loaded question because I haven't been able to go sit down in these restaurants for quite some time. But I will say one of the pizza places, the kind of the from scratch pizza places, Greeks and Puccini's are the two that have been really calling to me over the COVID months.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say one unique thing about that area, and this is no slight against national chains or whatever, but these are generally independent level restaurants, which get a lot of variety and a lot of uniqueness out of that. So that's something that I look forward to when we get back. Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, I've got to plug our favorite sushi restaurant in here. It's not in Carmel, but it's right outside in Castleton. So Asuka Japanese restaurant. Go down there, get you some good sushi, meet Nina, the sushi chef. You gotta get some sushi over at Asuka. So gotta plug them real quick.
Awesome. So for everybody that's listening now from out of Indiana, some great places to check out. The Carmel Center for the Performing Arts is a really cool building down there, and we actually have a veteran in our network that's about to move back to Indiana that's in the Army Band. And one of the reasons that he's not from here, and one of the reasons he wants to move here is because he came and performed there with the Army Band and was like, man, this place is great. And so he and his family are actually moving back here, and we've been working with them to help them get a job. So Carmel's a really cool area. And like I said, way earlier, from Carmel, you're only about parks. There's a lot of really good golf courses around Carmel. There's lots and lots of things to do. So what did we miss when we're talking about working at Sophos, or we're talking about the military transition? What would your guys' biggest piece of advice, and this is more for Chris and Ade, what are your biggest pieces of advice to people that are transitioning right now, or just, they're veterans and they live in a different state and they're thinking about Indiana? What would your biggest piece of advice be? Not to put you on the spot with it.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. So I guess for me, like I said, one of the maybe biggest piece of advice that I wish somebody had given me was to start thinking a little bit ahead of time from leaving the military on what I was going to do once I left, which I understand is basically the whole point of what we're doing right now. And so, like I said, that was at some point throughout my career, I realized that what I was doing in the military wasn't really going to help me once I left. And so trying to really cue in on what I was going to want to do once I left was big for me. And then as far as like trying to potentially get into Sophos and into the Indiana area, I would say really just kind of honing in, focusing in on what Sophos is and does, what cybersecurity is and does, and just kind of hone those skill sets. Try to do train your mind, if you will, do those brain games, those mind games to try to improve those critical thinking, those problem solving, and just immerse yourself in it. I mean, that's really it. If you have a passion for it, you don't need a whole lot of pushing for it. It's just something that you kind of want to do, and I have found that more so at Sophos than any company that I've worked for before. I have a very mechanical background, so I've always worked with my hands, but But being able to actually get in and do this stuff and immerse myself in it is really big. So I think that's maybe it. It's just get in and do it. Just learn it.
Yeah, I would say, be honest with your skill set, what you have. Take a good assessment of what skills you bring to the table. Look and see what you want to do, and then make sure you understand what it takes to get there. I think, making the journey into cybersecurity, coming from the military, it was quite a path, and those job opportunities, they didn't come quickly. So I had to keep pressing, but to do that, one of the first things that I had to do was I had to understand what the role was that I was trying to get into, and then target the specific skills to land that position. And to do that, you use programs like this. You have to get connected, like you said, networking. There's a lot of information out there on the internet these days. So, it's not the same as a decade ago, 2 decades ago. Use the resources available to plus up your skills. There's a lot of free programs out there. This one can help you get a job. Some other ones out there can help plus up your skills to aim for positions like this one. So I would say, be kind to yourself, give yourself some time, right? But make an honest assessment of yourself and see what skills that you need to plus up on, and then go out there and find those skills.
Awesome. And what Ade was just saying kind of sparked one more, so I'm going to circle back for one more kind of follow up here on that. Is that Indiana, the National Guard, and I assume the reserve side of it is doing it as well. Indiana is actually a very big hotbed for a cyber national or Army cyber. So we just set up a cyber battalion that's still being stood up currently. I have several friends from my unit that I recently separated from that are joining it. So if cybersecurity and IT is something that you are interested in, and I don't know who all this goes to, if it's active or National Guard reserves or whoever, but I know that, like I said, Indiana National Guard Cyber Battalion is setting up and is going to be, I think maybe the 5th one in the nation that's being stood up, cyber brigades. So just Indiana and cyber, they're starting to become hand in hand. The school I went to is partnered with the Indiana National Guard and Ivy Tech Community College to send people through these things in an accelerated program. So there are plenty of opportunities within Indiana to maybe, I know a lot of veterans might get out of active duty Army and might spend a little bit of time in reserves or National Guard before they fully leave. And so, making that transition there might be an easy way to kind of split the difference between full on leaving and full on, cybersecurity. There is a little bit of a stepping stone there, a path for a stepping stone as well.
Yeah, that's a great point that I failed to mention. I think it's the 118th for the National Guard Battalion. That's a great way to continue to serve. They call us warrior citizens, because we jump in and do this job, and then we have to put on a uniform and go do the second one. So you'd easily make that transition to be able to get the skills that you need, right? Work the position, not just read the book, but you're actually working that position, doing the defending, doing the responding, and then be able to transition to something like this on the daytime. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that I'm still in the National Guard myself, and it's something that they're really pushing to try to get more soldiers and officers to go into that cyber brigade. And they have, like you said, Chris, a partnership with Ivy Tech to be able to train and give those soldiers those skills. And I believe that they have a resident course that they can do as well down at Muscatatuck, which is in southern Indiana, for those of you that don't.
That's the course I went through, and it's it's a 1 year program. It's a 2 year program that's an accelerated program. So it's a 2 year degree that gets done in 1 year. You're basically housed within a military training facility, like you said, and it's pretty much all inclusive. And that was for me that's where I learned the cybersecurity skills. Like I said, I had a little bit of networking and IT foundations from the Army, but that's where I really learned what I needed to do this job. And it was, quick and easy. It was a year, and it was a long year of Monday through Friday, basically 8 to 5, because it was a 2-year program accelerated. But that was a really good way to make that transition, and it's a great program.
Awesome. Well, thanks for plugging that for sure. That's something that we've talked to active duty folks ourselves about, Jerry, Jeremy, and myself. It was probably about 2 weeks ago, we had a veteran in here that was about to come back from Fort Bliss. I think he was a 25 uniform, and Jeremy was like, I know you probably haven't thought about the Guard, but here's this other opportunity on top of what we're going to help you out with you could think about. Damien, go ahead.
And it's also not too late. If we have transitioning members that are already on their way out or don't feel like they want to stay in for that. This program that you're referencing is not exclusive to National Guard. We had in the cohort, I was the first cohort there. In our cohort, we had maybe only about a dozen current military members, and the rest were civilians. So that is not exclusive to military. If you get out or don't feel like you want to stay in, this is still a viable path and option to get to that. So just throwing that out there.
Well, that's all. I did not know that. I did not know it was open to civilians, but that's great. And as we wrap up, Damien, do you have any advice from an interview standpoint? What should somebody coming out of the military that probably never done a civilian interview before, their experience might be a board to be promoted. What types of things should they do to be prepared to interview with somebody who, has no military experience and probably doesn't speak the same language, for lack of a better term?
Learn what the role requires. Go through the job description, go line by line, research what each line means. When they say we want somebody who knows popular attacker tactics and techniques, well, Google that and find out what that means and start researching that. So even if you don't have experience doing it, you can come in and speak very intelligently about it. Because
so what I'm hearing is prepare yourself, research, really get to know the company. Cause that's another thing. That's something we tell folks too, is you better walk in there understanding what the company does, where they came from, how long they've been around, how many places they have. Like, you're kind of looking at this like your final exam. So you want to make sure you know everything, and then definitely have questions.
Yeah.
It's the same as when you heard, hey, the colonel's coming down. I don't want him to not have any questions. You want to, when they say, do you have any questions about our organization? You definitely don't want to be like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
So make sure you're showing interest, because there's obviously a reason both of you are in that room. They have interest in you, you have interest in them. And so you don't want to ruin that by just not being prepared for that final exam. So guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Sophos is such a great partner of ours. We're excited to be able to hopefully send you some great veterans here in the very near future. Thanks everybody for joining us. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks for checking out the replay. Go over to INvets.org and check out Sophos's profile on there. Create a profile. You'll get a free t-shirt for creating profile, and you'll be hearing from someone from my team very shortly, and we will be helping you maximize your transition opportunities. Thank you everyone so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Later, guys.